Eagle One CPR, and it took off, and I ended up kind of moving on from the training center. Kind of sold that, moved on, and then now I'm just kind of doing freelance teaching here and there, and even speaking engagements. And yeah, I mean, one thing I always just want to tell people that it's never a lone moment. We need to team up to do things. So, and that's how our CPR class, first aid and CPR classes were about. It was just, it's never just about what you can do, but how does the team help you out? So
That's
yeah.
great. So I know when we were chit-chatting last week, and you're feeling as though there's a need for people in the community to understand how to respond to an urgent situation during this quarantine that we're all experiencing. So what is your insight into how to, deal with an urgent situation right now?
First and foremost, one thing I always say is breathe. Take a deep breath. So many people are so focused on the here and now, which again, we should. But one thing I always share with people is that it doesn't matter who you are, ER doctor, trauma surgeon. If they have to end up doing CPR on somebody at a mall, they don't say, "Hey, I can do this all by myself." That is never the case. It's always a team effort, and there's always somebody who's been through it before. Okay, not exactly, but there's something that has been through before. So. A lot of times, first and foremost, take a deep breath. If you don't breathe, it doesn't matter how much training or medical school you have, it's not going to come to mind. We need oxygen to our brains so that we can actually think and understand what's going on, right? And unfortunately, we either do one of two things. We either hold our breath, we get that shock and awe, that right, and you cannot, that's not oxygen to the brain, so that does nothing for you, okay, as well too. And then we also have the panic mode breathing. Sarah, describe to me the panic mode breathing. What does the panic mode breathing look like?
The panic mode breathing? You mean if you panic and you're not breathing and you freeze up and you basically hold your breath?
Or the other way. That's one way. What else? What's the other way?
When you start hyperventilating, and I've actually had that happen before. You're breathing and
right.
And
you can't think because you don't breathe normal that way neither.
And now, is that because when you're in that state of mind, you can't help, your body and your mind cannot help go into this total survival mode, right? And so all you can think about, even if it's just subconsciously, is surviving yourself, right? So how are you supposed to be able to help anybody else if that's the mindset that you're in?
I always told my military men and women, if a bomb goes off and chaos goes down, I need you to breathe. Why? Because again, I want the training to kick in. It's not that we're dumb, right? Most of us are fairly brilliant. People are they can think, but I think a lot of times they're so focused on, I have to do something fast right now, versus I need to think this through methodically. I do need to take a step, but I need to take steps forward. Everything is a step, right? You can never get to $1 million without a penny, is what I remind people, right?
I like that analogy.
Right? You need to take that step forward and then start getting it. And the other thing too is, again, I remind people, team aspect. It's never about you, right? Not just one ER doctor can do a CPR patient or a COVID patient right now, right? It doesn't matter. Right. You need the team. You need to bring the team together. So ask for help, right?
Exactly. Asking for help. I know some people, you really taps into a person's vulnerability, being able to admit, hey, I can't go this alone. I need your help, whether it's, in an immediate situation, but really, the long-term approach to, okay, I'm feeling isolated. I need to reach out, or I need groceries, especially those are the circumstances that we're seeing in the community. But back to the breathing and stopping to pause, or as I call it, take a knee and drink water. What are some techniques that people can use to slow down and remind themselves to breathe?
Right. I think first and foremost, have you ever heard of this old school way? Hey, I need you to breathe into a paper bag.
Okay? Yes, I have.
Right? So really the whole idea of the paper bag is not to actually help you breathe. It's just to help you understand you're breathing fast right now, or you're breathing too slow, or you're not breathing at all.
I didn't know
That's
that.
really the whole idea of that paper bag thing. That whole, because you can see the movement of the bag versus you understanding you're breathing fast or not breathing at all, right?
Okay.
And so, and that's why I tell people, don't do this with a plastic bag. This is not, you don't want to get CO2 back in your system. That's why it's a paper bag. But
Hmm.
again, I think ultimately it's just to remind yourself, okay, just take a deep breath. What's the next step? And breathe, right? What do I need to do? Just get help first and foremost. 911. Something I also tell people is that, actually, when I teach my first aid classes, how many people does it take to help somebody, especially if they're deeply unconscious? And people will start raising their hands. Oh, one person, two people, three people. I tell them, no, it's six. Six.
Six
Because a lot of people always focus on the fact of one man, two man, three man, because you see those in the videos and movies. It's always one person, two people, three people. Never. It's six in reality. Two people who might have to do CPR, switch out because that's a very tiring moment. Somebody can stay on the phone and talk to 911. That's three people. Fourth person, somebody who can grab AED kits, first aid kits, stuff like that. Four people already used up. Fifth person, somebody who could flag down the paramedics, bring them straight to them. Sixth person, somebody could do crowd control.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
So,
six-man team.
So we've talked about, you're in a situation, it's an urgent situation. The first thing you need to do is to breathe. But, in reality, Randy, how many people in our local communities know the first thing about first aid or what to do should they find themselves in a situation that calls for first aid?
And that's another problem, is that it's not, again, it's great to have first aid training. It's great to do CPR training. And, that's what my bread and butter was about. But to be honest, what my bread and butter teaching of it is? It's to be part of the team. We're so hyper-focused on I need to, versus let's get the people together.
Okay.
Right? That's really what it is. Something I share a story of is that, how do you help somebody out who's cut themselves, they're deeply bleeding out, and they say, no, leave me alone? How do you help that person out?
How do you help them out if they're refusing care? How do you?
You can always call 911. You can always grab them
Okay.
first aid kits. You can tell them what to do. You can tell them, hey, I'll pass you, let me toss you a towel. Here, you might want to hold pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's still helping. For some
Right.
reason, we get something so stuck in our brains that I have to organize, do everything, touch them, and that is the only way I can help. That's a false statement.
Is that because that's what we see in movies when there's a situation? That's how we feel that we're supposed to respond.
Absolutely.
To be the hero.
To be the hero, to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
No, get the team, call for help, call 911, call their parents, for goodness sake, call grandma, she'll make some sense into, something of that nature, right? It's,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be able to talk things through. A long lost art, I would always say, is bedside care. Somebody just being by their side and giving them hope. The beginning of all medical whatnots and everything overall is hope. The beginning of all that. And one thing I share a lot is this. There was a situation we got into in Afghanistan, and by God's grace, we all survived a bomb blast that day. And I ended up taking care of a couple buddies who unfortunately lost limbs. And I was taking care of one of my buddies, and telling him, hey, you stay with me now, you fight for your life. And he eventually went unconscious. But I kept on talking to him. I just, as if he was still conscious, right?
Yeah.
I kept talking to him. And by God's grace, we got a flight evac'd out, eventually caught up with him, hospital, and he survived. But you know what? One thing what he told me, he goes,
What?
I have no idea what the hell you said, but I heard you, and you gave me hope to fight for my life.
Your presence, yes, absolutely. The connection still. Mm-hmm.
Be a human being is what I always tell people.
Mm-hmm.
Start with being a human being. Because so many people are so, I don't know, I don't know. Are you a human being? Can you just be by their side? Can you talk to them? I think you
Right.
can.
So everybody can offer some help. So the other thing that we were talking about the other day is, you know, and you see these memes and these social media posts all the time about it. It's one side says, let's get back to normal, and the other side says, I'm not going back to normal. And so let's have a conversation about, first of all, what exactly does the term normal mean, right? And will there ever be the normal that people keep referring to? Will that normal ever exist again?
Well, first and foremost, I don't know anything and everything, okay? I can't tell the future. But one thing I do know from history and just personal life, nothing ever goes back to normal. No matter what trauma we go through in our lives, nothing ever goes back to normal. But one thing I do want to place upon is that we do get better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So many people so hyper focused on, I need to get back to normal. I need to get back to normal. I need to get back to normal, when it's, you'll never get back to normal.
Because things change, right? Life as we know it is constantly evolving. And so, you know, this concept of normal, you know, we're not saying it's negative that people want to go back to normal, or they say they never want to go back to the normal, right? It's just a matter of understanding the concept that things probably will not be as they were ever again, you know, 3 months ago or 6 months ago or what have you.
Exactly. Well, we can do better. That's the thing,
Right.
right? And that's
So
the
we
hope.
learn.
We learn, right? We learn how to survive. I mean, that's we have, you know, I that's why we survive. We're human beings, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's first and foremost be by their side, help them move on, you know, and keep pressing on. And because we're so focused on going back to normal, there, you know, I got diagnosed with this thing called PTSD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people this, that people will, how are you dealing with it? To be honest, I don't think, we all have PTSD. We've all had a post-traumatic stress, something going on before. We had something stressful, right?
Yeah.
And how do I deal with it? Is not because I'm any better than anybody. It's because I just have more hope now. I have
Right.
hope for the future. I can't change the past. And then a lot of things is people want to either live in the past or go back to the past. And again, I get it. That's, we love our heydays. We love being with the people we love and care about. And, you know, I've lost buddies and I've lost family members, and God bless my dad. I wish I was with my dad right now. And he
Mm-hmm.
died due to lymphoma. He's actually this is one of the most hardest things, was my dad dying due to lymphoma. I could deal with situations in war zones, but the hardest thing that really rocked me was my dad dying to lymphoma. And, you know, that's hard.
Yeah, I'm
How do
sorry
I
for your
get beyond
loss.
that,
I'm
right?
sorry.
Yeah. How do I deal with that? Well, because if I do not move on, I destroy legacy. And this is one thing I always tell people, is that I love the word legacy. It has this connotation towards life's work. It also has a connotation towards passing on and moving on forward.
Yeah,
Legacy is beautiful.
it is
And
beautiful.
one thing that my dad had in legacy was just to pass on and keep moving forward. You know, my dad was a strong Christian. He led me forward, me, you know, the Christian faith, and
Mm-hmm.
he always had hope. And that's one thing I want to pass on to my kids. I don't want my kids to have a dad who's just distraught, always thinking about, what do I do now? What do I do now? And yeah, we do need to do that. We do need to think about those things. But at the same time, I have to have that hope that I'm gonna move on, and I'm gonna press on for the goal.
Well, because no matter what, the sun is going to rise the next day, right? So there's another day. So it's the whole concept of waking up, being grateful for still being alive, and pushing on, right? Moving forward. Um, I'm curious. So what is one positive that is coming out of this entire situation for you, you know, out of the COVID quarantine? What's a positive you're taking from it?
Um, You know, one thing's positive. I'm looking at it is that, yeah, I'm quarantined with my family, and I think that's a great thing. And it's a blessing overall that I get to spend with them, you know, time with them. And yeah, um, business wise, it's not the greatest, but
Mhm.
I still wake up in the morning and I'm still alive. It still
Yes.
gets me moving forward that I get to help people a lot. And I've been you know, Sarah, you've helped hook me up with Lisa Miller, who helped me connect with, you know, a senior community that needed masks. You know, we're still moving. We're still growing overall. And I think that's been a positive thing that I get to see the community all more, not just my family all more, but I get to see the community come together. And I think that's always been a positive, you know.
It
Yeah.
is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see these people that otherwise probably never would have had a reason to connect are connecting and collaborating for the good of others. You know, the example that you give of, you know, the mass for the community. So why don't we talk about that for a bit? I know that you're involved with this senior community. Can you share more details around the work that you're doing in that area?
Yeah, so right now I'm helping out with Community Housing Works. I'm their resident services coordinator,
Hmm.
programs manager, whichever, all the same one. But
Okay.
yeah, so we build up programs to help you know, senior communities and lower income 8A you know, income families as well too, and we give them assets. You know, before the COVID-19, we were doing, you know, we were running tutoring classes for the kids, and you know,
That's wonderful.
food services for, you know, people who can't get food, and fresh produce, literally free, given to them. And for the senior communities too, that they get senior food boxes that, you know, are no charge to them.
Okay.
Um, you know, that was pre-COVID time, and now with the COVID time, they're still getting their boxes. They're still you know, they're still getting stuff, and whatever's needed, I just tell them, let me know and let me reach out to my network, and we'll see how we can get it to you. You know,
That's
and that's
great. Are you guys, do you guys take donations? Or where, if somebody
yeah,
wanted to assist in this program, where can they send donations and where can they learn more about the program?
yeah. So CHW, Community Housing Works, chworks.org.
Okay.
Please donate to the need of CHW. Um, you know, we definitely are helping seniors and everybody else, you know, low income people who really have nothing else, and we're out and about, bringing things, dropping things off, you
I
name it.
love it.
We're there. We're here to help out.
I
So
love it.
we yeah.
And then as far as you are the first aid professor, I know that currently you're not able to hold classes because of the social distancing rules at the moment, but that's not to say that people can't reach out to you if they have interest in scheduling some sort of first aid and CPR classes in the future. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that work that you do and where people can send inquiries to you? To discuss perhaps putting a class on for their employees, or maybe they just have a group of friends where they want to do it.
Yep. So yeah, if you want to reach out to me, yeah, we're we're gonna start doing classes again. You know, training center for the most part is is closed down, but you know, I do still come out, you know, to you guys to do classes if you guys have a place for us to do it. You can reach me at Randy, RANDY, at firstaidprofessor.com. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, thefirstaidprofessor.com. So RANDY at THE firstaidprofessor.com. Um, yeah, and we can get some classes running. And the other thing too is that, you know, we don't just teach first aid. The major thing we do want to teach is just preparedness. We want
Okay.
to we do seminars as well too. Just thinking about we'll talk more in detail about breathing techniques, understanding what happens in emergency situations. We'll get super in detail with all that stuff as well too.
So I really love this, Randy, because I can already see where it can apply to a lot of the different sectors of the elder care industry, for example. So if there's any listeners right now from the home care sector, I feel like, you know, what Randy is offering could be, you know, perhaps get some of the caregivers, whoever is interested, and they can partake in a class like this, or the staff, you know, the administrative staff. I feel like it would be beneficial. So we'll definitely post the information, your contact information, so people can reach out and ask questions and perhaps schedule some sort of training in the future.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything else?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Guys out there in internet world, you guys will be okay. Just think that, you know, give each other hope. Have hope for yourself, give each other hope in general, and, you know, take steps forward. If it's one thing than anything, we have to have a center focus. For me, it's my Lord, you know, my Jesus Christ, and that's where I'm focused on, and that's what gets me through every single day. And so, but other than that, everybody, please take a step forward. We're in this together, and we can help each other out.
If you need anything, feel free to reach out to Randy or myself. Whether, you know, he had mentioned that he's working with the community, getting food, and also putting together some sort of, you know, activities for the residents in the senior community. But if there's a need, even if you think that it's not in our area of operation, reach out to us anyway, because we'll figure out who can help you. Randy, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to further collaborating with you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Great job, Sarah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.